And I think that where she starts isn't mean or evil, she just doesn't know any better.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie,
Right.
Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Analysts are voicing concern that Snow White might become one of the studio's most glaring failures in recent years, overshadowed by behind-the-scenes vitriol and overshadowing any artistry or imagination that might have been present. It's especially unfortunate for the other team members, designers, extras, effects artists who devoted their time and creativity to Snow White. Their hard work is being drowned out by Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot's constant squabbling.
She's right. There are spoiler alerts here if you intend to see the movie, which most likely 100% of your audience does not. They replace the prince with a common criminal. So there is a prince-like figure, but he's no longer a prince. He's a criminal. And I think this plays first into the class politics.
Few people talk about the reimagined visuals, the updated songs, or new thematic angles. Instead, the spotlight is on this feud, in which both sides appear unwilling to budge. At this stage, the film is saddled with a negative reputation that's difficult to undo. Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot's inability, or refusal, to appear amicable has effectively derailed the final push for a smooth, upbeat promotional campaign. While last-minute interviews or talk show appearances could have provided a glimmer of hope, insiders reveal that these have been drastically scaled back or canceled outright to prevent further friction.
Then on the sexual politics front, she's right. They clearly want to diminish the love story. I think after the backlash from those comments a year and a half ago, whenever they were, they did beef up the love story a little bit.
Historically, some films burdened by production squabbles have still triumphed at the box office if they were strong enough to captivate viewers. But given the multiple reshoots, the rumored shaky performances, and the overshadowing media circus, the sense is that Snow White may not stand on firm ground. Pundits predict that once it hits theaters, the film will struggle to draw large crowds, prompting a swift pivot to streaming platforms.
But nevertheless, he plays an ancillary role. And you see this in the fuller scope of the sexual politics. One of the most annoying contrivances of Hollywood in the last 10 years is the notion that a woman can physically beat up a man. You saw it in Star Wars. You see it in practically every movie out of Hollywood.
This series of events might serve as a warning for future adaptations of classic stories. In a social media age, any whiff of animosity between leading actors can balloon into a PR catastrophe.
It was worse.
It seems that Rachel Zegler's refusal to attend Gal Gadot's honorary ceremony was the tipping point. Gal Gadot viewed the event as an opportunity for them to present a united front. Rachel Zegler, however, stood firm in her conviction that the occasion was at odds with her political beliefs. After that boycott, any last hope of them sharing a friendly stage presence evaporated, replaced by open frustration at subsequent photo shoots.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
Marketing strategies have shifted, with one cancellation following another, and each axed event represents wasted money and time. The repeated disruptions underscore the sense that the production is in serious trouble. Whenever a new gathering is proposed, be it a press conference or photo call, people behind the scenes brace themselves for yet another flare-up between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. This persistent conflict not only threatens the film's promotional momentum, but also reinforces the idea that the leads simply do not get along.
It basically, this movie was like you took the original Snow White and just put everything through this filter of liberalism. It wasn't through a filter of Japanese anime, it was through a filter of liberalism.
It's clear that this feud extends well beyond trivial disputes about script changes or the tone of the remake. Both stars appear to be taking personal shots at each other's attitudes and ethics, fueling a cycle of resentment. Stories circulate about how Rachel Zegler insisted on retakes that Gal Gadot deemed unnecessary, or how Gal Gadot dismissed Rachel Zegler's suggestions, leading to blow-ups that derailed the schedule. These tensions spilled over into the press tour, creating the public meltdown everyone now sees.
And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them,
she's a good actress.
that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Across the industry, there's widespread concern that both Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot
Is generally understood to be a very, very white person. And in this case, they decided, nope, no, that doesn't make any sense. So I don't think we're allowed to say that, right? I was referring to the movie as sand beige.
If Disney hoped for a celebratory conversation about updating a legacy property for modern times, what they got is a cautionary tale in how quickly public feuds can dominate a project's narrative. Among the many theories about how the production faltered, one recurring theme is that Rachel Zegler's insistent framing of the film as a moral commentary and Gal Gadot's strong stances on international and political issues became a source of constant friction. Neither appeared willing to downplay these issues for the sake of public unity.
But it's no really knock on her. If you did the autobiography of Malcolm X, would you cast Tom Hanks? If you remade Moana, would you cast a little Irish guy? No, you wouldn't. So that was off the top.
As soon as the stars' ideological differences went public, every subsequent promotional endeavor got dragged into those debates. Audiences now hear more about personal convictions than about the creative merits of the film, driving potential ticket buyers away. In an effort to stifle the damage, senior figures within Disney tried orchestrating meetings and giving Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot advice on how to address the press diplomatically.
It is not racist to suggest that a character who is described in the original as skin white as snow, that is literally how the character is described in the original, that's a character description in the same way that, as you mentioned, in Moana.
Unfortunately, these strategies ran aground on the pair's ongoing resentment, and soon even the best-laid plans unraveled. Rather than celebrating a new Snow White that modernizes an old fairy tale, publicity has devolved into tabloids dissecting each subtle dig and each passive-aggressive remark. As the premiere date approaches, no one expects Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot to reconcile. Each is more entrenched than ever, and in public sightings, they seem to alternate between chilly politeness and near hostility.
And so this bizarre fixation with race shifting everything, but only in one direction by Disney, obviously is quite strange.
The tension is so transparent that fans discuss it openly across social platforms, speculating about who might be in the right, or how it will affect box office performance. It's reached a level where any forced camaraderie at events would be met with skepticism. This bleak forecast extends to the film's financial odds. Early box office predictions are disheartening, as pre-sales trail behind even some of Disney's less favored live-action ventures.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So no